Welcome to the Berklee Performance Center. Please take a moment to locate the nearest exit. In addition to the front doors of the theatre, emergency exits are located on the left and right of cross aisles in the orchestra and balcony. Please keep exits and aisles clear at all times, and do not leave bags or personal items unattended. At this time, we ask that you turn off all cell phones and other electronic devices for the duration of the event. Also, please note that audio and video recording and all photography is strictly prohibited in the theatre. Thank you for your cooperation and enjoy the show.
This summer I got to work in music and motion productions for Lucas Vidal, the composer, and it was some of the best days in my life. One of the things that I'm the happiest about is learning how to work with other people so that you can be as efficient as possible and really focus on the creative work, on composing music for films, which is what I want to do. My advice to students who would be considering an internship experience would be to create the opportunity for yourself, not necessarily wait for a big studio to let you do coffee for them, but rather ask a composer you like and whose work you admire if they need help, and then tell them that you would probably work for free through academic credit and then they'll be super happy, and they might even hire you.
One of my favorite things about student government is, one, I get to work with so many students that I would not see on a day-to-day basis. So I get a lot of community building and learning about other people's experience here at Berklee. And I get a lot of skills with meeting with administrators and faculty members and knowing how to work with people who are higher up than me on the food chain. I would recommend being on Student Government Association because you get a real chance to have some control over your own educational experience and work together for the better of the students.
I went to Valencia, Spain for the first year abroad program. One of the main differences between Boston and Spain is Spain is a lot smaller of a campus, so I knocked out a lot of my core music stuff there. When I came back to Boston, I was ready to get going with my major. I managed to make it to Barcelona and Seville while I was in Spain, and Granada. I traveled to London and Dover in England, and I also made it to Rome during Easter weekend. Phenomenal experiences, really, truly life-changing to be able to go to these places that I've always dreamed of going.
What you say? Now do you call that a sister?
One of the highlights of my year is the annual spirituals concert that the Black Student Alliance hosts, and that is sponsored by the Conservatory. We celebrate music from the African American culture, and it's a great opportunity to collaborate with other Black students to celebrate the richness of our history and culture. I appreciate the Conservatory for embracing that uniqueness and equipping me with the tools emotionally and musically to succeed and thrive in this industry that wasn't necessarily created for me, but has always encouraged me that I have a space and something important and unique to contribute given my history and my beautiful culture.
I took 4 years off out of high school. I wasn't sure if I was doing music because I really loved it or because it was just the thing that I was good at. So before I made that commitment, I wanted to be really sure that singing and performance was what I wanted to do. So I worked in non-music for a little while. Then I did a lot of theater and thought, well, could I do directing or set design or something like that? And I finally, after a few years, realized I really want to be on stage and I really want to give my dream a shot.
In my second semester here, I took one class on production and technology in the songwriting department. It was Ableton for Songwriters. And since then have fallen in love with the power technology has given me. And so I am now an electronic performer of my own music. It is a very male-dominated industry, especially the technologies and electronic performance and mixing and producing. And I found actually at Berklee, there are lots of women who are just doing new things because they've been told that they can't. And then they're given these resources and they learn so much, and then they can just do anything.
Berklee, 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 welcome. You feeling good about today? Well, welcome to our Convocation celebration entitled Tell Your Story. My name is Dr. Chris Candace Fisher, and I'm the Vice President of Student Affairs, Diversity, and Inclusion. And let me once again welcome you to this amazing place that we call Berklee. You should be very proud to join this community, so welcome. This afternoon, you will see and listen to student performances where stories will be told through artistry. You will also hear from some amazing leaders at this institution who will share their inspirational stories. We hope that this program will inspire you to create, build, and reimagine your personal story. So let's not hold this up any longer. It is my absolute honor and pleasure to introduce to all of you a leader who inspires, creates, and leads the Berklee community to greatness. Please welcome to the stage our president, Roger Brown.
Thank you, Chris. Chris Candace Fisher is a wonderful head of student affairs, and you'll look forward to getting to know him. And what about that band? So, two of them are in your class. So they're going to come back too and close the afternoon out. A good friend of mine, when I first got this job, was the president of Tufts University. His name is Larry Backow, and he's now the president of Harvard. And he told me this when I got the job as a piece of advice. He said, being a college president is like driving a bus through a mountain pass where the students have their foot on the accelerator, the alumni have their foot on the brake, and the faculty keep trying to grab the steering wheel. Personally, I want to put the pedal to the metal. I'll do my best to keep it between the guardrails, so I'm glad you're here to keep the acceleration strong. Let's do some demographics, okay? The state with the largest number of students in this class is California. Anybody here from California? Number 2 is Massachusetts. Number 3 is New York, New Jersey, Florida. We also have people here from places like South Dakota, Idaho, West Virginia, Montana, and Utah. Let's hear it for the smaller states. We have 11 people here from the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, and we have a long tradition of connection to Puerto Rico. A third of you come from outside of the United States, which is part of what makes this place so special. And the country with the largest representation in this class is China, South Korea, number 2, Canada, number 3, Mexico, number 4, and number 5 is the UK. We also have students from Lebanon, the United Arab Emirates, Iran, Serbia, Ethiopia, Egypt, Cyprus, Croatia, Panama, South Africa, and we have one student from the Bahamas, and our prayers go out to you, and we hope everyone in the Bahamas will be safe through this horrible hurricane. At the conservatory, we have set a new record for international students. We've hit the 22% mark. That's a record. And we're committed to making this a very global institution because we think you learn more when you're around people from other places with different perspectives. I'm delighted to say we have the largest class of women in our history. Women make up 42.1% of the college class and over 50% of the conservatory class. And I suspect several students identify as non-binary. We're happy to have all of you here, and we're a welcoming place for all students. Now, the number one instrument at Berklee is the voice. Number 2, for the first time in our 74-year history, is the piano. So, piano overtook guitar just by a couple of students. They're sort of neck and neck, but that was a real first. And guitar is number 3. But we also have people here who play the oud, the qanun, the quattro, and the luchin. If you don't know what those instruments are, that's another homework assignment for you. Go find out. Find someone who plays the luchin and form a band with them. We also, for the first time in our history, have 10 students here who auditioned on what we call the electronic digital instrument, meaning they play a computer and a controller of some type. So, the theme of today is tell your story, and I took that quite literally. So I'm going to tell you my story, and I hope by the end I can make some sense out of it for you. So just a little bit about me. I come from the Milky Way galaxy. We do have 3 faculty members who are certified as intergalactic: George Garzone, Dave Fusinski, and Kenwood Denard, but most of us share this. We tend to all come from the Milky Way. The solar system, planet Earth, the Western Hemisphere, United States. I come from the state of Georgia. Any Georgians here? Yeah. Georgia punches above its weight in music. And I come from the little town of Gainesville, Georgia, in the northern part of the state, near where the Appalachian Trail begins, a town that's known for producing more chickens than almost any other town in the world. This is me with my first drum. Oh. Got my little tie on, looking pretty fly there. My grandmother gave me that drum, and it made me very happy, but it made my mother very unhappy I was in bands in middle school. I was in several bands in high school. In college, I played in 4 different bands, including the pet band at my college where we played at basketball and football games. Here was my jazz fusion band called Cathexis. And here are our rejection letters from Elektra Asylum Records. The famous A&R man Bruce Lundvall rejected us. And Arista Records rejected us. We did have a #1 hit song, #1 in Moscow, Idaho, and in Durham, New Hampshire, and it was called Spider Bite. And it was one of those songs that makes you want to cuddle up with your loved one on the sofa and just hum a few lines from Spider Bite. After my short-lived music career, I became a school teacher in Kenya, out near the border of Uganda, at a place called the Matende Harambe Secondary School. I was a math, physics, chemistry teacher. I helped build a science laboratory, which I designed with the headmaster of the school. My students and I built a solar cooker that could fry eggs with only reflected sunlight made from materials we could buy in the local shops. We built a cistern out of local materials to capture rainwater so the students could have a wonderful garden. I took some time and climbed Mount Kenya, the second highest peak in Africa. I had pet goats. Unfortunately, they escaped and ate my neighbor's garden. So for a brief period, I was not very popular in the community. I was asked to be the soccer coach, even though I had never played soccer. We were not very successful, but we had a lot of fun. Then I went back to graduate school at Yale University, where I met the person who's now my wife, Linda Mason. And we promptly went off to run refugee relief programs in Cambodia and Thailand, on the border of Cambodia and Thailand. This was a horrible period in the history of Thailand. For 5 years, the Khmer Rouge had slaughtered millions of people and starved millions more. One of the strange things they did was persecute musicians. And for about 5 years, there was no music performed in all of Cambodia. The refugee camps were chaotic places. Malnutrition was over 50% for children. It was very depressing. There was no good sanitation, no running water. A lot of illness developed in the camps just from people being exposed to illnesses and being so cramped into quarters. The camps also housed 2 guerrilla military factions, the Khmer Rouge and the Khmer Sarai, who had been driven out of Cambodia by the Vietnamese army, and they were all coexisting in these camps. It was not unusual to see people wandering around with AK-47s, rocket-propelled grenade launchers. So it was a really deep, intense experience. But we also had some fun. A friend of mine brought me a pet python from inside Cambodia. I had pet ducks too, but the python and the ducks did not coexist peacefully. And here is an image of one of the musicians. And one of the things I'm most proud of that I did while I was there is I got UNICEF to give us a small grant of $1,000, and we got a fantastic tape recorder. We went into a rice warehouse, and I invited all the musicians to get out their instruments and come perform music, which we recorded, and we made cassette tapes and distributed them to all the refugees, just like we did water and food and other supplies. And the rebirth of culture was astounding, and it made me realize we often think of people being deprived of material needs like medicine or food or water, but we need culture just as much as we need those essentials of life. Happily, after a year or so of being there, the malnutrition rate declined dramatically. The situation stabilized politically. Cambodia has been a much more stable and prosperous country since then. The next adventure Linda and I set out on was to go to the Sudan, the largest country in Africa, the hottest country on earth. It would routinely get to be above 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It was a very hot place. Khartoum, the capital, got 2 inches of annual rainfall, so it almost never rained. This is what the countryside looked like just around Khartoum. We were blessed to have a relationship with this man, Hafiz Mohammed Mahamoud, who was a government official who helped introduce us to the people we worked with in the Sudan and looked out for us. And in the Sudan, the concept was, rather than form refugee camps and have people leave their villages and get sick by being in unsanitary refugee camps, let's try to bring the food to the villages so people don't have to leave. And that way, when the rain comes, which it inevitably does, they're on their land, they can plant their crops, and they can get back to life as they had before. In rural Sudan, people still travel by camel. There's very little paved highway. There was a generator and some electricity in this small village we worked in, but only a few people had access to it. This is me back in that era. And this is me in a camel race. It looks like I'm going very fast, but I was not going fast enough to beat my wife and her camel, and I'm going to ask Linda to stand up and take a bow. The winner of the great Umrwaba camel race, Linda Mason. She never fails to point out to me how much faster she and her camel were. The third phase of our professional lives was we started a company together called Bright Horizons that runs child development centers in corporate workplaces like hospitals, universities, banks, other big employers. And I did meet, I think I see them down. We have at least one Bright Horizons family here. I don't know if we have any others. Usually there are a dozen students here or so. And I often say to those parents, you thought you finished paying tuition to me 12 years ago. Welcome back. So the idea is to put child care centers at workplaces, beautiful centers where parents can visit at lunch and have lunch with their children and where they can commute with their children. Here's a science experiment, so I'm still teaching science to children. And after 16 years of loving that work and releasing 6 CDs of children's music that I recorded with my jazz fusion band once we all had children, I got the job of being the president of this amazing place. And I've been here for 15 years now, and I've really loved it. That building on the left is the 160 Mass Ave building, which is one of the buildings we built while I was here. We also have a new building, the Ortner building for Boston Conservatory over on Ipswich Street. We have done a lot of exciting things. We created the Berklee Valencia campus where hundreds of people study every year. We just opened the Power Station Berklee NYC campus, the most famous large format recording studio in New York City where Bruce Springsteen and David Bowie and Madonna recorded seminal works. It's now our campus, and you all are going to be able to. In the past, I would always have to say to the students, I'm sorry, you're probably not going to be able to take advantage of it, but you all will be able to take advantage of it. We've created the largest online music school in the world where people who, let's say you get a great gig and you decide to go take that gig. I met a young woman who got cast in Miss Saigon after her 3rd year at Berklee, and she said, I'm really sorry, but I need to go take this gig. And I said, of course you need to take the gig, but just finish online. It costs less money. You can do it while you're touring. It'll keep you out of trouble. And lo and behold, when they came and performed in Boston in May, she told me she was graduating 3 days later. We have what I believe is the best career center of any performing arts institution on earth, and it's up to you to get involved, but we're really trying to take responsibility for helping you build a sustainable career as an artist. As you know, 3 years ago, we merged with Boston Conservatory, which has been great for students on both sides of the house. We launched the Silk Road Ensemble collaboration with our Conservatory Music Division, and institutes like the Berklee Global Jazz Institute, led by Danilo Perez, our Africana Studies Department, which reflects the fact that on the college side of the house, the music we study, and we say this explicitly in our mission statement, comes from the African cultural diaspora. The blues, jazz, R&B, soul, funk, rock, country, bluegrass, all these are blues-based musics that came out of that heritage, and our Africana Studies Department is there to help make sure that all of our students understand where the music came from. So I'm really proud of all the things we've done at Berklee, and I'm also delighted to share with you that during that period, Linda and I had some kids. The one on the left, Farrell, is now a nurse at NYU Medical Center in New York City, and she's also an excellent artist and painter. And in fact, for tonight's presentation, I wore a t-shirt with one of the images she's created. I've been saying to her, Farrell, we can wait until someone pays you $1,000 for the painting, or we can make 1,000 t-shirts and sell them for $20. So we've been working on the commercial side of being an artist. My youngest daughter, Gracie, actually is a dancer who took some time off from a traditional college to go to Boston Conservatory and study dance for a semester. And then my son, Lucas, who came to Berklee for 2 5-week programs back in the day and is a pretty good pianist and vibraphone player, is finishing a PhD in mathematics at MIT across the river. And of course, that's my wife, Linda, still looking exactly as she did when I met her in graduate school. So, it's true. I've changed a little bit, but she hung in there with me. So you might ask yourself, like, what's the point of all this, Roger? So I was a math teacher, remember that? And in mathematics, they say to you the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, right? And that's true in a 2-dimensional world. But it's not always true in a 3-dimensional world. And we live in a 3-dimensional world where there are mountains and valleys and rivers to cross. And sometimes the straightest distance between 2 points is
the long and winding road that leads to your door.
So sometimes when you're 17 or 18 or 19 or 20 years old, you think you're supposed to have it all figured out and know what the next steps are. But I'll give you a secret. Most people in the world, even the most successful people, really didn't know what they were doing. If I had set out to be the president of Berklee, it would never have happened. But think about it. I was in bands, I wrote songs, I produced music, I was in recording studios. I learned a whole lot about that. I learned about rejection. I learned how the industry works. I taught school. I lived in many different countries and learned to work with people from a variety of cultures. And I was an entrepreneur, and I learned how to build something out of nothing. And that's why I got this job, because of those skills. And if you had asked me when I was doing those things, why are you doing this and how is it going to lead you someplace, I didn't know. But you can see how everything that looked like it was disconnected back when I did it has led me right here to where I am. So my commitment to you is, if you work hard, if you learn and grow, if you put your heart into everything you do and do a good job at it, your long and winding road will lead you to that place you're destined to be. So welcome to Berklee. I can't wait to get to know you better and hear your music and see you dance and watch you act. We're really delighted to have you here among us. Thank you.
My sweet Clementine. Every day we're together, every day that you're mine. Oh, you're mine, and I'm patient and kind. Please stay with me, my darling Clementine. Oh, you're mine, yes I'm yours. You're patient, you're kind. Please stay with me, my darling Clementine. Please stay with me, my darling Clementine.
Please welcome to the stage Senior Vice President for Student Enrollment Engagement, Dr. Betsy Newman.
Can we give another round of applause for Sweet Petunia? I love them and their music. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Berklee community. As you know, the orientation theme this year is Tell Your Story. So I'm happy to share how music helps me tell my story and give you an example of how the music I love might inspire you to tell yours. This is a wall of albums in my office, and it helps me tell my story. Like I fell in love with Motown dancing with my dad.
What a feeling.
I fell in love with this story about my mother, Jude, when she brought my sister and me to see the movie Flashdance, thinking it was the next Saturday Night Fever or Fame, only to discover, while we were the only children in the theater, that Flashdance was about dancing in a strip club. I fell in love with that look of horror on my Nana's face when she saw me watching Madonna sing Like a Virgin while rolling around in a wedding dress on MTV. While I definitely fell in love with this amazing tracksuit, I fell out of love with my sister when she got Michael Jackson's Thriller for Christmas and I got Lionel Richie's Can't Slow Down. I fell in love with every kind of rock music when I heard my older brother playing Led Zeppelin in his bedroom and he invited me in to listen with them. Then decades of music listening of every kind followed. And speaking of awesome rock music, I fell in love with my oversized flannel shirts when I went all in for Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Seattle grunge rock. I met my husband when wearing one of those oversized flannel shirts, so that all worked out okay for us. We've been together for 24 years, and we have 2 daughters, Moore and Maeve. They were here earlier tonight, and I gave them a shout out for being part of my story. And my assignment for all of you is to make sure you give a shout out to your family members for being part of yours. We listen to a lot of music together of all types. For us, for our family, music is a gateway to storytelling. So this summer, the playlist included Motley Crue, REO Speedwagon, The Cars, The Clash, and Devo, prompting questions about what life was like for this girl, circa mid-1980s. I know you must be thinking, really? Why were you listening to that music now? Well, here's why. Yes. Raise your hand if you're among 41 million households to watch Stranger Things 3 when it was released on Netflix in July. Yes, me too. It's a great show with an equally great soundtrack. For those not among the 41 million, here is a quick recap. I promise, no spoilers. In the mid-1980s in rural Hawkins, Indiana, a government lab secretly researching the paranormal accidentally creates a portal to an alternate dimension called the Upside Down, a mirror image of Hawkins, but in its darkest and most evil form. Creatures from the Upside Down can now enter Hawkins and begin to abduct and eventually possess the minds of residents, threatening to take over the town and eventually the universe. A group of middle school kids befriend a girl named 11, who escaped the lab and has a superpower to defeat the Upside Down with her mind. 11, Mike, Will, Dustin, Max, and Lucas, and their older siblings, set out to save Hawkins. So, like the wall of albums I have in my office, the songs of the Stranger Things 3 soundtrack in its iconic 1980s style helped me and my girls tell our stories in fun and surprising ways this summer. So it occurred to me that I might try to use it to help you tell your story. Are you willing to give that a try? Yeah? Okay, so let's do this. Welcome home to Berklee. Your journey starts here and you have what you need to begin. Your ride is set like a super cool BMX bike. Your pedals are poised, your brakes work, your chain is still on. You've got pegs on the wheels for friends you'll pick up. You see an open road with freedom to map your own route with your backpack of essentials. The horizon is clear-ish. So you're ready to take off.
We're not scared to lose it all. Security cut through the wall. Future dreams we have to realize.
You can't see your final destination from where you stand right now, but you believe you'll get there, realizing your future dreams feels within reach because you have prepared for the journey ahead.
Life's the same. I'm moving in stereo. Life's the same, except for my shoes. Life's the same. You're shaking like tremolo. Life's the same. It's all inside you.
You start your journey by doing what you know, what you're good at, following a familiar route. No surprises there. But before long, you feel stuck like Mike here. The rhythms in your life, while predictable and comfortable, become a bit monotonous. By moving with the sound, you realize you are not creating your own sound. So you decide to change more than your shoes. All right, you change more than your shoes, and you start creating your own sound, kicking that BMX ride into high gear, but you hit a few bumps in the road that feel a bit like a Scorpions heavy metal song rocking you with a hurricane-like guitar solo. That guy Billy, with the mullet-style hair, represents a formidable challenge that wants nothing more than for you to give up and go back.
Should I stay or should I go now? If I go, there will be trouble. And if I stay, it will be double.
So come on and let me know, does this formidable challenge win? Oh boy, we are in so much trouble. Does this formidable challenge win? No! Do you decide to stay on the journey? That's what I thought. You do decide to stay on the journey, but you alter your route. Okay, so new roots can be a little scary, like that Demogorgon. I mean, 11 looks terrified, even though she has a superpower to defeat it with her mind. Fear paralyzes your superpower, which in your case is your ability to express your art. So you decide to let the fear flow.
When a problem comes along, you must whip it before the cream sets out too long. You must whip it when something's going wrong. You must whip it. Now whip it into shape.
Shape it up. Get straight. Okay. And like Dustin, if a problem comes along, you can whip it good. No challenge or fear will stand in your way. Just like hairspray from a Farrah Fawcett aerosol can, you project your strength through your own voice with your own sound. This is the final destination of your journey.
Though nothing will drive us away, how we can be heroes just for one day. How we can be us.
So I'd like to leave you with your own Stranger Things at Berklee style wall of albums so that it might help you tell your story. Inspired by 11, the middle school girl who saves her friends, her community, and the universe with a superpower that is her mind. I wish you the best of luck on your journey ahead, and remember, Berklee is your home sweet home. Believe you can realize your future dreams. Don't move with the sound, create your own sound, and rock that hurricane back. Stay, don't go, let the fear flow. Whip it, all of it. Be a hero by being you, and use your unique superpower, your voice, your art, to be 11. Well. Good luck, everyone. Enjoy Berklee. We'll see you on campus.
please welcome to the stage Executive Director of the Boston Conservatory at Berklee, Kathy Young.
Hi, everybody. It's so great to be here with all of you this evening. This is a very, very special time, the beginning of your careers at Boston Conservatory at Berklee and Berklee College of Music. For each of you, our incoming students, this is a profound moment in your life, one that you've worked toward and maybe dreamed of for a long time, the beginning of a very important new chapter in your story. You're all here because you have a deep love of music or theater or dance and a desire for your art to be at the center of your life. That feeling is one that I share with you and which has shaped my life. For most of my career, I've been a working artist, dancer, choreographer, and teacher. I'm just at the start of year 3 as executive director of the conservatory, but I've been making dances for over 37 years. So I thought today I'd share a little bit of my story with you, and my story is told through dance. I'd like to share 4 short excerpts of my choreography. The first is from a piece called Journey Sanctuary. My collaborator on this project was Robert Robinson, who built his career on his belief in the power of gospel music to cross boundaries of race, ethnicity, and religion. He created a multi-ethnic and spiritually diverse gospel choir, and in this clip, you'll see my dance company performing with his choir. We're telling our stories, and I'm the one in the pink.
Now listen. We have a story to tell you all tonight. And I know you're ready to hear this story, right? But before we start telling the story, I think we need to party just a little bit. Are you all ready to party out there? Well, come over here with a table spread. And the peace of the Lord is going on. Well, come over here with a table is spread. And the peace of the Lord. Well, come over here with a table is spread. And the peace of the Lord is going on. Well, come over here with a table is spread. And the peace of the Lord.
Thank you. The next clip I'd like to share is from a piece called Blues Suite to the music of Otis Redding. And I made this piece with my first husband, Chris Aiken. The piece is about love and the hard work that love can be, and the bittersweet experience of recognizing that sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you just can't keep it together. Now, I kind of gave away the ending of that story by telling you that Chris was my first husband. But we're still good friends, so don't worry. And here we are 20 years ago.
I don't know what you're doing to me, baby, but it sure is good to me. Whatever you do wrong, honey, I don't care, baby, because you are so good to me. I'm gonna keep loving you, woman, for 20 more years. After that, I'm going for 40, 'cause I've got my will to try. I've been loving you, woman, too long.
Thank you so much. You know, it's interesting for me when I look at these works, because that duet Chris and I performed for about 7 years, And I think it's like when you play a certain piece of music over and over, or you perform a theater work over and over, it gets in your bones, right? And it shapes who you are, and it shapes how you're experiencing your life. The next piece I'd like to share with you is called Zero Cool, and it's set to the music of Duke Ellington from his Far East Suite, which he wrote in response to the music of India when he toured there. And for me, this choreography is about my love of Ellington's music and me sort of trying to capture with the dancing the wit and the sensuality and the elegance and the life force that was in that music. And I also wanted to sort of show women reveling in themselves. You all are like an awesome audience. Thank you so much. The last piece I'd like to show you, this is an excerpt of a duet I made with my friend Niles Ford. And Niles was a lead dancer with Bill T. Jones. We met when we were very young, the age that most of you are, and we danced together in a company in our early 20s. And then our careers took us in different directions. We stayed in touch. And we decided in our late 40s that we wanted to make a duet together. So for us, this piece was about what life had taught us since we last danced together in our 20s, an understanding of our own vulnerability and the awareness of how fleeting our time here actually is. What we could not know when we made this dance is that it would be our last dance. Niles passed away suddenly about 6 months after this performance, and my performing career ended with an injury about the same time. And I don't share that to make you sad, but to tell you that I'm so grateful that we danced that last dance together, that we seized that moment and made something beautiful together and told our story. So here is Niles and I, about 10 years ago. Thank you all so much for letting me share some of my story with you. I cannot wait to get to know each of you and all of you over the coming months and years, and to witness your stories unfolding through your music and your dance and your theater. And my hope for all of you is that you seize your moment and your day, dig into your time here, and remember that you are the only person in the world who can tell your story, and the world is waiting to hear it. Thank you very much.
Please welcome to the stage Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs and our Provost, Dr. Larry Simpson.
Good evening. Wasn't that piece performed by Mina just fantastic? I mean, it was so graceful and so beautiful. And I appreciate Mina, what she did. And it's good to see all of you here this evening. I am very happy to welcome you to Berklee on behalf of the nearly 1,000 faculty who await you on Monday, September 9. I also welcome you on behalf of the deans and department chairs and the many other staff in academic affairs who are here to see that your story has the best chance of success. These people are the best at what they do, and I applaud your decision to enroll and matriculate at the college and conservatory. Let me give you a case in point about the fantastic people that we have. I'm a creature of habit, so as I exited the train today coming here, even though it's Sunday, I had to do my ritual stop at the coffee shop Pavement, which some of you will get to know well if you don't already know it. So I walked in Pavement and I ordered my hot mocha. As I was waiting for the coffee to be made, I saw a parent approach me and she said, "Are you a jazz musician?" And I said no, but I did tell her I was the provost here. And she is here because her daughter's just enrolling and she's a bass player. Her daughter was here this summer and she participated in a program with Terry Lynn Carrington, whom many of you may know. She is the artistic director of the Institute of Jazz and Gender Justice. She is a 3-time Grammy Award-winning musician, and next week she will be sitting in the drum seat for the Seth Meyers program. So she told me her daughter was a bassist, and I told her that we just hired Linda O as a full-time member of our faculty in the bass department. She was stunned. Linda O is simply brilliant. As I said, we have some of the finest musicians, choreographers, dancers, and theater artists in the world. And for me, what I love about it, there's a lot of them. A brief word to the parents, grandparents, other family members, and guardians gathered today. Please know that we have a vigorous liberal arts curriculum, which makes up 1/3 of the credits required for graduation. We believe that a deep engagement with math and science and philosophy and history and psychology and communications makes artists better artists. These disciplines and the deep engagement in discussion that they require helps to open the artistic mind to greater possibilities. And for me, this engagement is really needed perhaps more today than in recent memory. Berklee is an amazing place, and students, I salute those who have generously supported your dreams. Now today, I'm breaking with one of my own personal traditions, and I'm going to offer you some advice. Historically, I would not give advice at this point because I would say, you have enough of it. So many people have tried to tell you what to do, what not to do, how to do it, when to do it, where to do it. I said, I'll be that one voice where I don't have any advice. So here comes more advice. Be balanced. Being balanced does not mean to smash down your passion and commitment to your craft. It means to be centered in your passion and craft. Being blinded by passion leads to arrogance, and the beauty of your art falls away in arrogance. You will know difficult days, but there are lessons to be learned in the darkness and despair if you don't fight mightily against them. You will see the highs and lows are but different sides of the same coin. A few decades ago, I was involved in a pretty terrible motorcycle accident. I was out of work for 3.5 months. A good bit of that time I was in excruciating pain, and so I was taking heavy doses of pain medication that eventually I found not to be very helpful. So I stopped taking the pain medication. I simply accepted the pain. Did I hurt? Yes, but not as bad. I did not fight it, and I came to realize that being centered and balanced between pleasure and pain set me free. So students, let your art and career pursuits be fueled by your being centered. If you can achieve this, you will be, if not invincible, you will be a much better person to be around. Enjoy the semester, and I look forward to seeing you out and about this wonderful campus and enjoy this epic adventure that is Berklee. Thank you so very much.